There's other ways to be a homeowner than having a 15 to 30 year traditional loan. Yes, there's other ways to plant your flag and not have a ball and chain. In 2017, I became a homeowner, and looking back on it, I made a very emotional decision at that time. My mom had just passed in 2016. I was going through a lot of grief. I really was in a position where I wanted to feel good about life because it seemed like life had sucked the life out of me. And it took me years before I realized I made a emotional decision. What made it an emotional buy for me because there was some sentimental value there. But looking back on it, I should not have got into it. It just didn't make a wise financial decision. And now here I am 10 years later, and I realize how much of a ball and chain it has been. I have $43,000 left to pay on the house, so I will certainly have it paid well before 15 years. So learn lesson, no regrets, and knowing what I know now, I'm telling you, there's way more options than having a 15 to 30 year loan. Ways that you can become a homeowner without having a 15 to 30 year loan is you can always buy a fixer-upper. If you purchase a fixer-upper, you can purchase that fixer-upper for way below market price. So will you have to do some renovations? Will it need some work? Of course, that's the purpose of being a fixer-upper. So you can decide how do you want to go about that. A lot of times people move into fixer-uppers and just have them to the point where they're ready to move in, and they just worry about all the other renovations as they go, as they live there after a year, after 2 years. Buying a fixer-upper, yes, you will have to put money in it. You're going to have to invest money in it. That's the purpose of buying it below market price, because it's not just turnkey model, pretty new construction bill. So you're going to have to put money in it. A lot of times the original owners may not want to put the money into it to bring it up to par, to make it modern. And that's something that you can do as well. You buy for much less than what the market is offering because it is a lot of outdated. Whether the kitchen is outdated, the bathrooms, or overall the house, the rooms is outdated. And you just fix it as you go. If the fixer-upper or the outdated home is not your dream home, at some point you can make it your dream home. Another way that you can become a homeowner without doing a 15 to 30 year loan is that you can do owner financing. Now these, I feel like it's very hard to come by, but you never know. Depending on what's your area, depending on what state you live in, you may be able to find these. A lot of times there's been a situation where Mima has passed off or grandpa has passed off, and the children don't live in this particular county, they don't live in that particular state, and so they just want to deal with someone who's going to be able to see the value in the home and be able to keep up with the home. They may not just want to sell it to anybody, right? They may only want to sell it to a particular type of buyer. They may only want to sell it to a buyer that have children, has a family who's going to stay in this house. They don't want to sell it to a person who's going to just be flipping the house, and the house is going to go in the hands of whoever, however. So they have some sentimental value in it, and they're being mindful, they're being intentional of who they want to purchase a home, right? A lot of times the owner is more acceptable and more prone to do owner financing because they care about the connection, they care about the relationship of who the house is going to, who's going to be living in the home. They care about those things. So they're willing to work with a person, and they just cut out all the middlemen. They cut out the agent, they cut out the mortgage company, they cut out the bank. You deal with them one-on-one. Now, if you can find these, I feel like these are sweet. Because again, it's very connection, who you know, and it's very relationship based. Of course, make sure you have documents, solidified documents looked over by your attorney, your lawyer, whatever your legal expertise. You can find these owners on Facebook Marketplace. You can find these owners also sometimes on Zillow. You can even find these owners when you see those signs, the for sale signs, it'll say buy owner. Owner finances, a lot of times these are sweet deals. I've never heard an owner financing situation go left. That's just my opinion. For sale by owner, I think is a very good deal. Of course, once you have everything looked over, everything looks legit, you sign a contract, you sign an agreement, and you just off to the races from there. Another way that you can be a homeowner without a traditional 15 to 30 year loan, and I think because of social media, these are a little bit more trendy, but you have the manufactured homes, you have the modular home. It doesn't have to be new on the lot. A lot of times, even on Facebook Marketplace, they sell trailers, and a trailer may be 10, 15, 20 years old, but the bones and the struts of it is still pretty good. And if you decide to invest in any land, or if you've inherited any land, that's perfect because you could take the manufactured home, the trailer, and you can just move it on your property. Manufactured homes, they're going to be cheaper than traditional homes because they're not just made brick by brick. They're made with much less material, with supplies that cost less money. So you're not paying the same price that you would pay for a new construction bill. You're paying much less, sometimes by $100,000, $200,000. If a 4 or 5 bedroom in your area normally costs between $300,000 to $600,000, a 4-bedroom manufactured home may cost $200,000 or less. And a lot of times, believe it or not, people abandon these trailers as well. So you may have to get outside the city and go on the outskirts, go in a little bit more country areas, and you'll be surprised. There are a lot of trailers that are abandoned. Who knows why they're abandoned, but I think a lot of times even the abandoned trailers can be salvaged. It just depends. When you're looking for home ownership and when you're hungry enough and you don't want to be in debt, you don't want to be in debt for the next 30 years, you're going to find different ways as such, and you'll be surprised. The investments may be worth it. And sometimes, depending on some of these trailers, it's going to save you $100,000, $200,000 just putting in $30,000, $40,000, just different things of that sort. These trailers and manufactured homes, they can save you a lot of money in comparison to a new build construction or a home that's from the bank. Trailers, you have double wides, you have single wide. You can buy these homes. I've seen a manufactured home that has stairs, 2-story. They've become very modern, and so there's different ways that you can do it. And then last but not least, you also have the process of renting to own. This is when you will pay the rent like normal. You'll be a tenant. A certain amount of the rent, it'll go towards the purchase. That's how that works. And it's very similar to like owner financing, but it's called rent to own. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe when you're renting to own, it may be just the owner, but also too, it's possible that it could be under the bank as well. I'm not entirely sure, but that's an option. The main thing is knowing that you do not have to be ball and chain for 15 to 30 years. There's other options. And a lot of times, because we want what we want, we're not open and we're not educating ourselves about the different options that you have. So having options is great, it's good, it's more than one way. No size is one size fits all. It all just depends on whatever you want your future. If you want to save and you're thinking about the longevity, you're thinking about the future, then these are other options that you have to become a homeowner, and it doesn't have to be a 15 or a 30-year loan. If you don't care nothing about high interest rates and paying on a loan for 15 to 30 years, then go the traditional route. But if you are looking to not be ball and chain, if you are looking to, you don't know if you want to move out the country in the next 5 or 10 years or whenever you're ready to buy, real estate is always going to be a great investment. You can become a homeowner in a lot of different ways. Always do what's best for you, because business is going to do what business does, okay? Real estate is always going to be a great investment. So even if you invest into a real estate and you decide to not stay there, but you decide to use that and use that as passive income, there are so many different options, okay? But the main thing is to know that you have more than one way, and you can choose how you want your future look and what you want to invest in. That's going to be best for you in your life.